Welcome to our Documented at Davos coverage of the World Economic Forum. My name is Randy Zuckerberg, and I'm very excited to be sitting here with Linda Abraham, co-founder of ComScore. Thank you, Linda, for joining us.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are a World Economic Forum veteran. Do you have a few thoughts or tips on how to survive your week at Davos?
Well, just don't plan on any sleep. It's really about 2-3 hours a night if you're lucky. That's the main thing.
That's the rumor we've been hearing on the sheet. Have you had a fun experience so far, or a Davos moment?
It's been terrific so far. I'm just running into people and having sort of spontaneous get-togethers of people that you don't get a chance to see very often is just really priceless. And so connecting with some old friends that I often only get to see here, but email with. It's great to see people in person.
Now, I'm sure that you are a very in-demand person to speak with because social media and technology are top of mind for a lot of companies right now. What are your, I know you just released some new products actually on social media measurement and campaigns. How's that going?
It's going great, actually. It's gotten a great reaction. What we're finding is that the advertising landscape is changing, and there are a lot of things about digital advertising that people don't quite understand. One of which is that there's really infinite supply right now. And what has been lacking up until now is really measurement that can help really differentiate and value the premium supply adequately from that which is really not ever getting in front of consumers. For example, we did a test on this with about 12 major branded advertisers, Kellogg's, General Mills, Ford, Chrysler, a bunch of others. We found that about 31% of the ads that they were serving were never seen. And so that really has a big impact on the reach and frequency that you think you're getting from advertising. And so we are using this technology to help advertisers and agencies and publishers really understand where the value of their advertising. And it's actually very relevant to social because people tend to think of the notion of visibility as whether I'm above the fold or below the fold. And this technology completely debunks that myth. So when you're on a social site, for example, you often are getting to content that you're interested in well below the fold, and that's really where the advertising is having a chance to work. So it really it turns some traditional models on their heads in terms of how we think about it.
And we're seeing a really big shift right now from kind of just the sheer number of eyeballs of who's viewing to actual real engagement and the right people viewing ads. So it's exciting to see what you guys are working on there. Who do you think is doing it well in the space?
Well, I think there are actually a number of players doing it well. In fact, you know, what I have found interesting, I started my career in the CPG industry at Procter & Gamble, and having watched this digital evolution, CPG companies have generally been slow to come to the internet, but they've been very quick to come to social. And so I think some of the CPG companies are, on a relative basis, being more aggressive, experimenting more. Some of the, you know, you have companies like Coke, for example, who is really aggressive. Starbucks, of course, is always trying new and interesting things. But I think there are, you know, some interesting both successes and failures in some of the CPG companies that are really interesting.
Are there any tips for best practices that you would give to a brand that's out there thinking about their social strategy?
Well, I think it's really important to understand, a lot of people are focused on the number of fans they have. You know, so I have 2 million fans, and well, now what do I do? Or what's my ROI on social? And I think they're really missing the point. I think it's really important to understand who those fans are. And one of the biggest things that we have learned is those people that seek you or find you or like you in a social environment are often very different from the target that you have been thinking about. And that's a huge opportunity for brands. And unless you understand that and understand that the messaging strategy may well be different for a social audience than it is for the audience that you've been pursuing historically, you're really missing opportunities in terms of maximizing their engagement and drawing them in and getting them to really engage with your content.
I think that's a great point. One thing that we found at Facebook very often was that when people actually dug into the demographics of who the fans on their page were, it was completely different from who they thought they were reaching, and they were able to customize their messaging around it.
Exactly, and we're finding that a lot, and it represents really big opportunities. We also look at the behaviors of those people, both when they're, say, at Facebook and on social sites and when they're elsewhere. And that's really surprising. That's one of the things that we found in this study, is that these brands might have gone in to reach a car enthusiast, But what they didn't realize is that they also were very successful in reaching people that consume, financial news and look for luxury goods and, buy a lot of books. So there's sort of these interest profiles that are possible to develop and also capitalize on in terms of building the audience.
And now finally, you are such an expert in the social space that the World Economic Forum has actually tapped into you to join their social media council. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you're working on there?
Yeah, that's been actually really interesting. A mix of people, academics, people from business, people from some government organizations, some NGOs have been a part of that. And what our goal is sort of a self-defined goal, but we want to really try to frame the state of social. And we're kind of modeling it around the notion of, if you think about looking at the sky at night, you see a whole bunch of stars. And then the next image, if you really want to lay social on top of that, they're all connected in some way. You've got these little constellations and connected to bigger constellations, and that's very much the way that the social world operates. And so as things unfold, really understand the dynamics of not just social as relates to one person, but network to network is, I think, really an important concept. And so we've been doing a lot of work in terms of case studies around that, and a report that will be coming out soon that's going to sort of lay the landscape of how we collectively see it from all of our perspectives. So we're excited about that.
Great. Well, I'm excited to see how the research comes about, and thank you so much for joining us today. I hope
Thanks
you have
for
a
having
wonderful
me.
time at the rest of Davos.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Please watch the rest of our interviews, scrib.com/documented at Davos. We're here interviewing a lot of great thought leaders at the World Economic Forum. You can also follow our hashtag on Twitter at DavosDocs. Thank you.